President Kalfayan. We're on the air.
Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to the October 18, 2021 meeting of the Parks, Recreation and Community Services Commission. To help slow the transmission of COVID-19 and protect the health and safety of the community, City Council, as well as board and commission meetings, will continue to be closed to the public for in-person attendance. The public is encouraged to watch and participate from the safety of their homes to practice social distancing. Meetings are broadcast live on Glendale TV, viewable on Spectrum Cable, Channel 6, and AT&T viewers. Channel 99. Meetings are also streamed live in high definition on the city's webpage, glendale.gov/live, on youtube.com/myglendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire devices using a free app called Screenwave and choosing Glendale TV from the menu. For public comments and questions during the meeting, call 818-937-8100. Public comments on a specific agenda item will be taken when that agenda item is discussed. Roll call, please.
Sure, Commissioners Meek,
Yeah, I'm here.
Zuckerbergian,
I'm here.
Wolfson,
Here.
and President Kalfayan.
Here.
The agenda for the October 18, 2021 regular meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on or before Friday, October 15, 2021. At item 2 is introductions and presentations. At 1 is recognition of outgoing Commissioner Jane Potel.
Thank you, President Kalfayan and members of the Commission. A few weeks ago, we received a letter of resignation from our Commissioner, Commissioner Jane Patel. She will be leaving the city of Glendale, moving out of the city, staying local in Southern California, but she will be leaving the city. She submitted, I'm sorry, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, great. With that being said, I do like to congratulate her and her family on the move. And I would like to thank her the past year, a little over a year, she's been a commissioner with our department. She has supported all of our programs. She has asked a number of very good questions concerning every section in our department. I truly thank you for all the good questions, the positive feedback, and all the reports that you have asked us to bring back, one being the artificial turf, another one being the parking lots, the city-owned parking lots and open space that the city owns. We do have a lot of work that needs to be done within the next couple of years in terms of our projects, our programs and services that we're providing. But the last year has been, it has been fun. You have kept us on our toes with the challenging questions, and I know I appreciated it, staff did appreciate it, and thank you for the continued support that you have been providing. I know, you've done a lot of good things in our department, not only during the meetings, but outside, let it be social media, working with other nonprofit organizations that you've been a member of, and as well as, the parent groups that you're a part of in, let it be nextdoor.com or social media. So I do thank you and congratulate you on your move. With that being said, I will turn the floor to our commissioners, President Kalfayan and members of the commission. If any of you have anything to say, please feel free to do so.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bulanikian. I will give the Wolferson will be the first one. Give us your opinion.
Did you,
Uh-oh.
were you calling on me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know whether it's me. It's probably me, but it's breaking up a little bit. I wanted to say thank you so much to Jane for her service. Uh-oh. Are you able to hear me? Something's gone awry here. Okay. I want to thank Jane so much. It's been a pleasure to serve with you for such a brief time. And in the brief time that you were on the commission, you really set a high standard. You familiarized yourself greatly with everything. I've been very impressed by the questions, like Onyx said, that you asked, and the knowledge that you brought, and your willingness to do a lot of work. You set a high standard for everyone, and I will miss you personally and as a colleague on the commission, but I congratulate you. I think obviously this is a positive change for you and your family, so there's that. Well, we will miss you. Okay, so thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Sarabekian?
Can you hear me? Okay. So thank you very much. I need to agree with Mr. Onik about this. You're very passionate about the time and effort that you've given to the city, and me being a father of two young kids, I actually, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate it because it shows how much you actually care to make the parks, the overall experience of being a Glendale resident so much better than it was, I want to say, 30 years ago when I was a young kid here. So I really appreciate that, and I'm sure whichever city you're moving to, you're probably going to somehow find a way to make a difference over there too. So congratulations, best of luck, and obviously Glendale can always be your home.
Okay, Commissioner Mick?
Thank you, Jane. The short time I've been on the commission, I have really appreciated your insights and your questions that you've been asking. I hope to try and come up to that standard. And of course, as we all say, we will miss you and wish you the best of everything in the future. Take care. And if you can, stay in touch. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me give you my comments also, and then I'll let you give yours. And it was a challenging short time to be with you. Unfortunately, we never got to see you personally, to meet you and maybe be more productive at that time. But your words and your passion and your love to the community that you give and your questions that you donate your time is very appreciated. And I will assure you that Parks and Recreation will create new parks, especially in the South. And I know last time we didn't discuss it, but Mr. Bolanikian was part of it. The City Council had an extensive report from a company, if I'm not mistaken, how can we create really the best out of what we have or what we can build, or if we have the funds for it. So we'll continue to do those things to serve the community that you always wanted to do that. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead, please, Commissioner Patel.
Well, thank you for all those kind, thoughtful words. A little teary-eyed. I did prepare a few words that I'd like to say. When I took the position last fall of Commissioner of Parks, Recreation, and Community Services, I had no idea of the scope of services the department manages. Beyond overseeing park renovations and planning recreational events, there's a vast number of crucial support services the department provides daily. The senior meal services, the workforce development, the various homeless and housing programs, the child care programs through the last year school closures of the Education Connect and Maple Stars after after-school program, the distribution of the vaccine via the MPODs, the social and emotional support programs of Get Fit, the senior exercise events, the STAR program, the Club Maple program, and so many more. It's an immense amount of oversight, and it takes a considerable amount of work and dedication in order to pursue all these efforts. If I could borrow a quote from Gandhi, the true measure of any society can be found in how it treats the most vulnerable members. Clearly, the City of Glendale is working hard to consider the needs of those most in need. It's been a considerable honor to have been a part of this commission and to have worked with this department who does so much to oversee the support programs. I'd like to read an email I sent the Community Services and Parks Department recently. As you may know, I have submitted my letter of resignation to the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. After 16 years of renting in Glendale, we have finally bought a home, but we weren't fortunate enough to have it be one within the city limits. I want to thank you all for the incredible experience I've had working on the Community Services and Parks Department. Whether I had direct contact with you or not, I became aware of what an extraordinarily organized and effective bureau it is and the dedicated teamwork it requires. The breadth of community services you all provide is impressive. The City of Glendale is extremely fortunate to benefit from the vital work you do. The support programs, as well as community event activities the department provides, create a better quality of life for Glendale as a whole. There were many times the city reports brought tears to my eyes, such as now, knowing that the department's efforts were significantly improving lives. Thank you again for your responsiveness to my questions and concerns over the past year. I will greatly miss working with you all. It has truly been a distinct honor to have served on your commission. Sincerely, Jane Patel. I mean every single word of that from the bottom of my heart. Glendale is such a vast city with so many different socio and economic situations. And that's what makes the city so beautiful. I've never in my life lived somewhere with so much diversity in this way. And I hope as the commission continues that questions will be geared towards thinking about those who may or may not be able to speak up in support of themselves or in their needs, considering that those in most need don't often have the time and wherewithal to speak up on their behalf. That being said, thank you again for having me be a part of this incredible commission and department. And I wish you all well and Godspeed in your future efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Patel. It looks like your heart, you're leaving it here. You're not taking it with you. And I hope that soon we can find you a nice home in Glendale and you'll be back. That's what I hope for you.
Perhaps
Thank
you. One day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, President Coffey and members of the commission. We do also have a plaque, a recognition plaque for Commissioner Patel. Oh, great, you've received it already.
He has it already.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you. Once again, thank you very much, Jane. It was a pleasure, and hopefully, we'll see you soon. If you have any questions regarding community services and parks in the new city that you're living in, don't hesitate to contact us. We'll be more than happy to assist.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Iris, next item, please.
Sure. Next is item 3, upcoming council agenda items.
Thank you. President Coffey and members of the commission, we do have a number of items this next couple of weeks going to City Council and the Housing Authority. On October 26th, we have a report on exploring the feasibility of a dog park in Glendale. Motion to provide feedback on exploring the feasibility of a dog park at Pelanconi Park or other parks. On November 2nd, we have amendment number 2 to the Copy and Design Professional Services Agreement for fiscal year 2021-2022. Motion authorizing the city manager or a designee to execute an amendment Number 2, to the existing copy and design professional services agreement, increasing the contract by $90,000 for a total of not to exceed in the amount of $200,000 for Verdugo Job Center grant funded programs. We have a joint report with the Housing Authority and City Council on the HUD Section 108 Loan Guarantee Program application for Fremont Park renovation project. We have another report for the Housing Authority and City Council on the approval of analysis of impediments to fair housing and submission to Department of Housing and Urban Development. Our third report for November 2nd, status programming for planning fiscal year 2022-2023 CDBG, ESG, and Home Annual Action Plan. Our fourth report is our round run funding 2020-2021 and fiscal year 2021-22 homeless housing assistance and prevention program funds. Our fifth report is the notice of funding availability application for our continuum of care homeless programs. We will have a joint Public Works and CSP report on the removal and replacement roofing system of Rockhaven. And then we also have our last report, donation of Pelanconi Park and Glenoaks Park playground equipment to the Armenian Educational Foundation.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Bolanikian from any commissioner? Any questions? Commissioner Mitt.
Is it possible for me to get a little printout or an email of these reports?
Yes, when the reports are completed, we will put your email on the distribution list for the agenda items. We can go through the city clerk's office and have you receive all the reports.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, any other question? Okay, next item, please.
Next is item 4, Commission staff comments.
Okay, Commissioner Sardarbekian, any comments?
No.
Commissioner Mead?
I would like to, since we have hired, I don't know if they've signed the contract yet with Maestro for the Fremont development. Has that been completed?
President Kofi and members of the commission, the contract is being processed as we speak. We believe Public Works is waiting on some insurance requirements.
Okay. I would like to bring that back up once that is completed so that we can find out when we could actually get started, even if it's done in phases, since we won't hear about the turf development for a while yet.
Public Works is going out to bid within the next couple weeks. The bidding process is probably going to take between 6 to 8 months from what we've been told.
Okay. Someone else said something. I'm not sure who did.
Are you through the Commissioner Mix?
I had one other request. Is the Verdugo Wash project, is that going through Parks and Community Development together?
President Kofi and members of the commission, currently the lead department is Community Development. Myself and Mr. Panosian are on the working group committee. We're meeting once every couple of weeks to discuss the project. I know we have a meeting, I believe, on October 27th because the consultant has developed a few designs, conceptual designs.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilfredson, we don't see your picture. Are you still with us?
Here, I don't know what, can you hear me right now?
Yeah.
We can hear
I
you.
hear you.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm experiencing some kind of technical thing and I have my, here, wait a second. Wait a second. Can you see me now? Wait, hang on.
I wish we had your picture with us. Yeah.
If you hold down Control Shift and V, it'll turn your video on.
Listen, just let's leave it alone because I'm having such problems. Anyhow, I have no comments. Thank you.
Okay. I have a comment. I've been attending the Brand Park, taking my granddaughter to swing and slide. And on the I think it's the north part by this building. There's two sides there. While they're swinging, kids from the slider, they come and run into him and get hit by the swingers there. Is there a way to separate that or elevate it or put some kind of thing so the kids are only 2-3 years old? They don't know they run into the people that they're swinging. You see what I'm saying?
Which area are you talking about? Because my residence is around that area. You're talking about because there's two sets of play areas in that area. One,
The one towards the building, towards the library, the smaller one.
okay, so the one that's more for the younger kids.
Right. But those younger kids, they're running while people are swinging. And as they're swinging, they can hit them and hurt them.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
President Kalfai, members of the commission, that generally is one of the reasons why where there are swings, we have by the guidelines set by manufacturers have to have 6 feet distance in the front, 6 feet distance in the back of any swing. So no other equipment can, their falls on especially kind of interfere with that. And all of our designs meet that criteria. And I do understand the concern you raised because we have also noticed it. Some of that has to do with parents having to watch their kids in that area because no matter where we put the swings in any playground, the child can still run in front of the swingers and find themselves in front of somebody that could actually knock them down. That is something we have experienced, but the designs always call for that distance, that gap for the swings away from everything else. And the rest of it, unless you put swing way away from everything, every other play equipment, far from them, it is possible that kids can still just run around where the swings are. And it's also expected by parents to watch their kids and not allow them to run in front of the swings. And that is something we expect parents to do as well as part of it. But as far as the guidelines go, we do keep the areas free 6 feet front and back. So a swing set can take up 24 feet at minimum of length. And then the width, depending on how many bays we put in, can be significant. We do leave areas for that purpose to allow for no other play activity within the swing zone. And this one does meet that criteria as well.
Can we think about like a plastic partition or something that just, because those kids, even their parents are there, they run around unexpectedly. That's my concern.
President Kaffa, I could bring it up at future meetings with consultants / playground designers to see if they have found any means of addressing the concern you have raised. Generally speaking, with every group we've worked with, every manufacturer we work with, following the guidelines tends to address most of those issues. But we'll bring it up and see if they have any. If they don't, can they think of any other ways to develop something for that purpose? And we will look into that.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item, please.
Next is item 5, oral communications. We don't have any callers. Item 6, consent items. At A is approval of the minutes of the commission regular meeting held on September 20th, 2021.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Otherwise, do I have someone to move it, please? Commissioner Meek.
You're muted.
Commissioner Meek, you're on mute.
Sorry. Since the last meeting, have there been any updates on the meditation maze and the art at the Verdugo Park?
Commissioner Meek, we will be presenting the CIP capital projects today in one of our agenda items. We'll touch base on all capital projects, including the Verdugo project, where we are at this point.
Okay, then I'll hold my other questions until then. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I need someone to move it, please.
I so move. We accept.
Okay, second.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next item, please.
Doesn't she have to do roll call for that?
Okay. Go ahead, yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay, Commissioners Meek,
I say yes.
Sardarbegian,
Yes.
Wilson,
I have to abstain. I believe I was not present.
you were present at this meeting, Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
But it's fine if you want to abstain.
No, I'll say yes then.
Okay, President Kalfayan.
Yes.
Item
Okay.
7, reports information only. At A is Capital Improvement Program CIP update.
Thank you, Iris. President Kalfine, members of commission, as just mentioned a minute ago, we will be updating you on the capital projects. It's a calendar year update. We did this last October, and the goal is always to bring it back every October to let you know what has transpired between that time and today. There is a written report that we submitted, and some of this information is going to capture the written report to make it easier for our members that are watching, our community watching from home, to kind of see a brief scope of what the project is, what the budget may be, and also a synopsis of what it entails. I will be sharing the screen. Give me a moment, please. Are we able to see this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Thank you. So first, I want to touch base on some of the completed projects since the last time we presented this capital projects presentation. We completed 4 projects: Lower Scholl Restroom Picnic Area Rehabilitation, Nibley Park Restroom Rehabilitation. As of this month, the Brand Park Restroom ADA improvements, and then Montrose Parking Lot resurfacing and electrical upgrades. To take each one of those projects individually, the Lower Scholl Restroom Picnic Area rehab included a complete rehabilitation of the restroom itself, upgrading it to Title A and ADA standards, accessibility standards, changing of the plumbing and the fixtures, lighting enhancements of the restroom to make it safer at night, improvements around the perimeter of the restroom, as well as this project, the picnic area, the shelters, picnic shelters were improved. New concrete tables were installed, 33 new concrete tables. The barbecue areas were replaced, new barbecues were put in, new sinks, and then the shelters were refurbished. The budget for this project was $450,000 in capital improvement project funds, and it was completed January of 2011. And here is a quick photo layout, I guess. Armin laid it out this way of the restroom and the picnic areas. The next was Nibley Park. Similarly, it was a complete rehab of the restroom, plumbing fixtures, electrical upgrades, roof repairs, and Title 24 ADA accessibility standards. This project was different because it required some roof repairs. Some old trees had crushed into the roof and required there was some damage that had to be addressed. This project budget was $350,000. It was similar work minus the picnic shelters. That's why the difference in the budget. And this was completed following 1 month after Lower Scholl. This was completed early on in February. And here's what that project looked like after completion. The Brand Park restroom, it was completed this month, as of last week, as a matter of fact. The project budget for that was $350,000, and it was a Title 24 ADA accessibility standard improvements, as well as rehab inside fixtures, lighting, tiles, and some of the plumbing enhancements. And this was done at both sides. As you commission may know, we have 2 restrooms at Brand Park. One is closer to the playground, where Mr. Commissioner President Kalfayan was referring to, and the other one is the parking lot just north of our Little League baseball field. And both were completed. This renovation was done for both projects. They were completed this month. 2 years ago, if you remember, we did the roof enhancements on both because they had some structural issues and damage. The roofs were replaced at both these restrooms, hence keeping the project budget at a minimum $350,000. And these are both. It looks like this is just one side. I didn't capture both of the pictures. This is the north restroom, north of the playground. We do have a couple of projects currently in the construction phase. The Nature Center, Stormbar Nature Center, as well as the Brand T-ball field. The Stormbar Nature Center and interior improvements and restroom building, as we've shared with Commission, this is constructing a brand new restroom adjacent to the barn so that it would support the operations of the barn with the events that we anticipate to be hosting, as well as the activities of just generally keeping the barn, the nature center, I should say nowadays, open for community. We needed to construct a restroom to accommodate. And the interpretive exhibits to complete the Nature Education Center. We're really excited about this project, and we can't wait for it to be complete and open to the public. It also created a stairway to the lower level. If you've been inside the barn, it has 2 levels. One is lower, and it did not have access from the upper area. So this project included installation of a stairway to connect the two, as well as make it accessible to the patio area. And including that, given the ADA accessibility, it would install a wheelchair lift from the top level to the lower level. And the project budget for this is 2.04 million. It includes CIP funds as well as development impact fee funds. The restroom completion is anticipated to be completed later this month, and then the interpretive work will be completed in December of 2021, later in the year. This picture that we're sharing is the interior of the barn, the education center. As you can see, the two different layers, the level, this is the upper level, this is the lower level. This is where their staircase is going to go. And I'm not sure if you see my mouse moving. Is the cursor moving on the screen? I'm
We see
hoping so. Okay, great. And then at this corner is where we'll be installing the wheelchair, the ramp to allow people to go from the upper level to the lower level with ease. And here's a picture of the restroom building in construction. This is just north of the barn, and it is going to be connected by way of a path. Now, the project, before we get to open it later, later in the year, possibly early next year, we'll have some landscape enhancements as well in the area. We'll do some improvements and make sure for the opening, this place is going to look beautiful. The Brant Park T-ball field. Now, this was a capital funded project. Council budget $150,000 for this project. Yet we took on this project internally as we would some of our ball field renovations. The only difference is this was not an existing ball field for renovation. It was a turf area just east of the existing Little League ball field at Brant Park that did have a backstop many moons ago. This was used by Little Leagues and T-ball teams for practice and games from T-ball, and the community had requested we reconstruct it. Hence the project, and our team, our park services crews, went in and excavated the excavation of the existing turf in the area. And this was basically reinstalling new irrigation, because when it was all turf, it's different. Putting in an infield, dirt infield, as well as the infield, the grass for the play area. It required a complete overhaul of the entire irrigation. We completed the laser grading and the sod installation last week, and the new backstop was installed. And the last step is the first and third base line side fencing. And this is so we can protect the kids that could get behind there and keep them safe from fly balls and foul balls. And that is the last step. We today, as a matter of fact, issued the purchase order for the fencing, and we anticipate the completion of this project at the end of October. We will let the field rest for the next 2 months and turn it over to the Little Leagues and the T-ball field leagues in January. And we do ask our viewers, if the soccer players are viewing, we ask that you stay out of this area, please, as it is still under construction. It is not open for the public. Do not jump the fence and use it for soccer play. We would appreciate that. And here's a picture. Again, this is fairly new installation. We will be watering it thoroughly to allow for the rooting of the grass, and a couple of months rest with the number of mowings will make this field look immaculate when we turn it over to the leagues. And you can see the new backstop that's installed. The current fencing that you see in these photos are construction fencing, and they're intended to be removed when the project is completed. And here are 2 additional pictures to give you a little taste of what we have upcoming for this field. So we have a number of projects that are permit ready. The Fremont Park Renovation Project, Pacific Parks Artificial Turf, and the Sports Complex Field 3 Artificial Turf. Now, I know some commission may be saying, I thought we talked about artificial turf, and the commission's position was to not move forward with artificial turf. But rest assured, these projects for now are permit ready. We're moving forward, yet we're not instituting artificial turf in the project until the life cycle analysis assessment is completed. And that report will come back to this commission as well as Sustainability Commission and then to council for final direction on what position council would like us to take with these projects. And then depending on council's direction at that time, we will either move forward, make the necessary changes to the plans, and then move forward. But we will not be moving on any of the specific turf projects until we have that direction from our city council. And for Fremont, we may have shared this in the past. The scope includes a new community building, which will incorporate the tennis clubhouse, the meeting rooms, rentable space if anybody wants to have a special event. It'll have a kitchenette. It's going to have restrooms that are open from the exterior for the community to be able to use as well. Also, office space for our recreation staff that may be managing some of the activities at the site. It will right now, as it has been approved by council, it is an artificial turf soccer field. It will have a brand new splash pad that seems to be very popular with our youth and our families that reserve facilities. It'll have picnic pavilions, tables, benches. It'll have new drinking fountains, barbecues, addition of 26 parking spaces. The new design, as we'll show you on the next screen, it will allow for the ability for a drive-through road and allow for additional parking spaces. Given the activity at this facility and the need for parking in the area, this will be a benefit to the community. We will have two pickleball courts. They're kind of dual use. We'll be laying pickleball over the basketball area, so both communities can use it. It'll have walking paths with fitness equipment along the way. It'll have relocation of our 3 tennis courts, actually almost 4 tennis courts will be relocated to make way for the drive-through. It'll replace the children's playground, move it into the park, away from the street. It'll have a security drive path for our police to be able to drive through the park and look for activities late at nights. It'll have enhanced lighting and new landscaping. And the new landscaping is designed to be drought tolerant. The estimated project cost at this time is $16.5 million. It has CIP and development impact fee funds in the mix, as well as Mr. Buliga mentioned that we will be taking a report to ask for a HUD a loan funds to be able to complete this project. And the status is as Commissioner Meek earlier stated, the construction management contract was awarded to Maestro, and Public Works is in the process of executing that contract. At times it takes a little long because of the insurance and the bonds that are required and the review by the legal team of all documents. But that is in play. And the construction right now is tentatively scheduled to begin in 2022. Mr. Bliniken also highlighted that Public Works will be commencing the bidding process with this project fairly in the near future. And the bidding process can take 6 months to 8 months to get a contract in place. So we're a little far out before we break ground. And by that time, we anticipate having the LCA analysis completed and council direction given in regards to the field. And this is the master plan that was approved by this commission in previous years, of course, and by council. As you can see, these are the 4 tennis courts that are moving from their current location. That would have been adjacent to the existing tennis courts to this area, allowing for the playground to move interior inside the park, further in the park. And right over here between the tennis courts will be the water play feature. The structure right here is the community center, 3,300 square feet, community center with a patio for rentals. This is the 2 half-court basketball courts and the pickleball that's going to be overlaid. This is where the soccer field will be going, whether it be artificial, natural, based on direction. And most of the rest of the park, the natural green space will remain with DG paths for walking and jogging and exercising. There is 1 additional restroom structure being constructed at this location. This currently the park has 2 restrooms now. We wanted to make sure to have at least the same amount of restrooms, yet expanded larger size restrooms to accommodate for its use. The picnic shelters spread throughout the park, as well as just picnic tables will be there as well. And this is the north part where Han Avenue at this point currently only comes up to this area where these 2 structures are. This is the Model Railroad Club structure building, and this is our maintenance garage. So the new approach opens up this entire area so that it actually connects to Graydale. So individuals that are pulling in from Graydale and or Han have ability to drive through the perimeter of the park. And this location is also part of the park. It is parking currently there. It is used for the park by our community and by our park owners. And this project also has 2 locations that we are dedicating for art pieces, and we're working with our Library Arts and Culture Department and their commission to make this a process to get artists to submit proposals and pick one that would fit for this facility. The other project that right now is the permit phase, Pacific Park Artificial Turf. This project is also permit ready. We are waiting for the LCA report to hear back in the direction And once all of that is set and done, we will be bidding this project. It is the project budget for this is CDBG funds of $1.8 million, and it will essentially take the baseball field and make it a multi-purpose baseball and soccer field. It will have a U12 soccer field overlay in there, and we've talked about this, but essentially the purpose for us to go in this route is it adds at least 3 months to the field to allow it for use by any and all soccer teams and youth groups. And here's how the current layout is for this facility. We're going to improve fencing, increase some of the fencing height so that soccer ball cannot fly out. It allows for one large field and two smaller fields laid within and used by smaller teams if necessary. Sports complex field number 3, this project is also permit ready. It will multi-purpose the existing softball field with a softball and U12 soccer field. Currently, the budget for this was only was dedicated $250,000 in CIP funds for the design and the construction drawings. That portion is more or less completed, and we are permit ready to move to the next step. After the LCA study is completed, we get council direction. We will take this project to the next phase, which would mean approaching council to ask for additional funding to see this project completed. And here's its current layout. It's the soccer field will be, there's possibly dual that can be going on this field, and the layout of the baseball field. We do have 2 projects that are in the environmental phase. These are the 2 projects that we've partnered with Glendale Unified School District. One is at Cerritos Elementary School, a multi-purpose field, and the other is at Wilson Middle School, multi-purpose field. We've shared these projects with Commission. You're aware of them. As far as their current state, the status is going to wait again for the LCA study. And then once the LCA study is completed, we'll be meeting with GUSD to discuss the project further and see how feasibly we can get this off the ground. And the Cerritos will have a U12 artificial turf field, rubberized jogging path, and it will reconfigure the existing school playground to allow for all of the current existing amenities to continue to be available for the children in the school, as well as this is going to upgrade the existing restroom building at Cerritos. Given the increased activity, we believe there will be a need for an adjusted larger restroom to accommodate. Even the current restroom in the summer months, as we've shared with Commission, are small for the because we get very busy at that park with picnicking, and once in the summertime when we have the water play feature on, very popular park, very busy park. So this will benefit all users. Here is the layout as we had shared. Again, it's going to be a U12 field with the jogging track around it, rubberized. This solar array is actually a project that Glendale Unified has already taken on, and we will be mostly double use. We're going to put some activity for the children to play below, and it's going to have most of their existing activities in the mix. And the access for this will be through the park. We do actually have a gate designed currently in the park. This is Cerritos Park in the south portion of this picture. Right through here, a gate that's going to open up, and then we will secure the school by keeping this area closed, so that the individuals using this part of the school after school hours, will not be able to access the school. So we've gone through some fire department feedback as to their access for safety. All of that is incorporated into our concept design. Similarly at Wilson Middle School, this one will be a little larger because it is a middle school. So this will accommodate for a U14 turf field as well as a practice field adjacent to it. This will regrade the existing basketball courts and renovate the existing basketball courts at the school. And we will construct a new restroom building here near the soccer fields so that we can keep this school portion kind of close to activity that is after hours and for the community, so they don't have access to the school. This budget for the project is $5 million in development impact fee funds. Yet again, this also will wait for the LCA report to continue with discussions with the Glendale Unified School District. Here's the current layout, the layout concept we have developed for the Wilson Middle School, U12-14 actual field, a practice field, which is a little smaller. And then here is the restroom building and also a small garage for equipment, for grooming equipment for the field. that could be used. So we have a number of projects in our planning and design phase. This project, we work with our Public Works Engineering as well as our Public Works Facility Maintenance Division. And I say ours, Peter Verheilig, who's our project manager, on loan from Public Works Department, takes a great effort in most of these planning projects. So we'll take them one at a time. First one is Dunsmore parking lot resurfacing, working with Public Works Engineering. This will resurface the parking lot with permeable paving. We had originally approached it with just paving, and given our efforts of sustainability, we've approached a couple of companies, looked at some options. The direction on this will be permeable paving, so we can preserve as much water as we can, allowing it to percolate down into its native soil. Construct the grade separated sidewalk to Dunsmore Avenue. There's some improvements we want to do to make it safer for school children, because this park is used also by parents who like to drop off their kids for the school, which is Dunsmore Elementary across the street from the park. As we were walking the job site a while back, we had the opportunity to run into the principal and other staff from the school. They gave us some feedback, which we've incorporated into this project. Stormwater infrastructure to treat stormwater runoff will also be part of this project, and accessibility improvements throughout the area, walking paths, signage for parking, all that will be part of this project. It is currently budgeted at 1.1 million in CIP funds. It is in design phase, and engineering team is looking at getting proposals for permeable paving designs, so we can continue finishing the design process and start the bidding for this job. And here's what it looks like. If you've been to Dunsmore Park, this is a familiar site. We are looking very forward to getting this project up and running. Scholl Ballfields parking lot resurfacing. We also at Scholl Ballfields, adjacent to the field, the closest to the ballfield, those parking areas do require some replacement of the pavers. The trees, the roots over there have made it very unsafe, and this has been on our radar for some time to get it done. We've started the process. Council has budgeted $100,000 in CIP funds for this project. Engineering is working on looking at designing what it's going to take, getting it ready for bidding. It will resurface only the first row of parking lots that are of most concern to us at this point. We are working with the our forestry section to look at how to do the job without damaging some of the trees. There will be some root pruning, definitely, and there may be possible removal of some non-native trees from that area to allow for this project. And as we've always said, removal of non-native trees will always be something we replace with additional trees within the vicinity, maybe not at that location, but somewhere within that vicinity of the park to allow for replacement of those trees. And this is in design phase currently. And here's what it looks like. The picture on the right is the location of the improvement that we are talking about. And as you can tell, maybe not, some of these are, severely alligator, is what we call alligator back asphalt, because it is a lot of cracks and lifting. And in here is, in talking with our forest department, it is overpopulated with trees in some of these areas. They also feel that removal of a couple of these trees in this location, and again, they're all non-indigenous trees, will allow for the other trees' help to improve. So we will be working with them and making sure we address that. Pacific Park Shade, Water Play Feature, and Restroom Renovation. This is a big title, 3 projects combined into one. Essentially, we're going to be installing shade structures over the both playgrounds, 2 to 5-year-olds as well as the 5 to 12-year-olds. It will also add some shade onto the pool deck at Pacific Pool. It's going to enhance the current existing water play feature is about 20 years old now when the park first opened, the community center first opened. So we will be enhancing it with a new system. I did mention the Fremont one, but what I forgot to mention then is both of these water play features will be recycled systems, as it is kind of the code with the county. And the water used at this will be recycled and treated so that we don't waste a lot of water at these water play features. And of course, one of the additions based on the need of the water play feature, we will be renovating our existing restroom, expanding it. And we talked about this some time back to make it safer. I'll show you a picture of what it's going to be. The current restrooms, an individual can go in there and lock themselves in. The new restroom design is going to prohibit that by way of simply changing the design, allowing for some secured entrance and inability for people to lock themselves in the restroom. We've had a number of issues with that, whether it be homeless individuals late in the evening going to lock themselves in, or individuals just lock themselves in and not make it available for others within the park. The budget for this project is 1.69 million. It has Measure A, CDBG funds, as well as CIP funds. And the project is currently being reviewed for permitting with the city as well as with the county, given the water play feature that requires county health approvals. So it is going through both agencies for revisions. And here is the new design. The partitions here will allow for individuals to go in. It kind of term is not coming to me, but it will eventually. And the doors can be secured at night, but it can't be secured when an individual is using the restroom. It will be similar to all of our other restrooms. Oh, privacy, there you go. This is for privacy as individuals do go in. And this will be on both sides. The restroom will have access on both sides. One will be from the side of the baseball field. The other will be on the side of the playground access. The Central Park Master Plan, the scope of this is completely redoing the Central Park adjacent to ARC. As commissioners know, the Armenian American Museum is in construction, and it has taken up the southern portion of that park. But the remaining areas, whether it be the parking lot for the library on both sides and the rest of the paths that are left, all of that will be part of the Central Park. And it'll have significant enhancements to that facility. It will include playground. It'll have some paseos. It'll have a central lawn area for events. And it is currently budgeted at 2.15 million in development impact fees. As we move forward with revisiting the entire project and the scope, and we will be adjusting and looking what the cost is going to be and going to council to ask for those additional funds. This project was master planned, and we were looking at getting a consultant on board to do the construction drawings and the construction ultimately. For the update as of right now, the museum is, the project is shoring, and they're shoring and grading phase. They're working on utility relocations, and as I mentioned, the estimate for the park construction, we're asking the consultant that developed the master plan to update the cost estimate so we can take an item to council to consider the next steps. This was an aerial of what the approved concept design is. The south portion right of the structure will be the museum, the park access way throughout the rest. This will be the open lawn area in front of the library that will make itself available for just picnicking, open events. Right over here, as you can see, can be set up as a stage for special events, be the library, be parks, concerts, right in the downtown area. Right over here is the Mona Paseo. If you're familiar with that area, the Mona Paseo right now comes in and ends with the structure. This design will follow that Paseo all the way onto the new Central Park with nice steps going into the park area and opening up to the rest. We will construct a restroom structure over here. It'll have water play feature, playground, just general open turf and trees in the location. Some activities for seniors outside of the ARC building, which is down at this location. This is a great design, and we look forward to this next phase. The projects that we have brought to council earlier this year, the Glenoaks and Pelanconi Parks playground replacement projects. These two projects will replace the existing playgrounds, enhance the playgrounds, add more features, more ADA accessibility, shade canopies. The Pelanconi one will have a new seat wall, as we talked about, because of its grade. And as a matter of fact, that seat wall is going to serve two purposes. Parents can actually use the seat wall to sit and watch their kids, as well as for the change in the grade of that location. And in the Glenoaks playground, as we had discussed and this commission had approved, it will have an enhanced play area by taking the existing sand volleyball court and putting in the track that the kids will just love to use. It's a very popular item. The budget, Pelanconi, it is CDBG funds of $494,000 and $50,000 in CIP funds. For Glenoaks, Measure A, $474,000 and additional $166,000 in CIP funds. And I touched base with the consultant. It is Great Western Installation. They're preparing the site improvements. The survey was completed. Site surveys were completed mid-September. He anticipates within the next week to have the plans completed for internal review or plan check to move to the next phase of bidding once all that is reviewed. And we'll be bidding this project through our purchasing department. And that'll be a little expedited process to have a contractor on board to complete this. Now, since we're doing the construction as a separate bid and we already have the purchase of the project, we had issued the purchase of the equipment some time ago, early June, July. We issued the purchase order and the manufacturing is working on it. Now, we've had some delays. If you've done any construction lately, you know that materials, accessing materials has been an issue. And similarly here, in accessing the metals necessary to actually construct the design, the actual playground materials themselves, they are a couple of months behind. We anticipate delivery of the equipment late December, maybe early January, which coincides with the timeline of having a PO in place, a purchase order in place for the installation. So we will hold, even if it's constructed, we don't have a PO in place, we'll hold the shipping until a purchase order is in place and the equipment will be shipped directly to the project site to make it a lot easier and more feasible and less carbon footprint of having it delivered in a lot of locations. That's where we are with this project. And concepts, these were the concepts for the Glenoaks replacement. They're both. This is the one on the left is the Pelanconi one, and then the one on the right is the Glenoaks one. And south portion, Dunsmore, is where the track's gonna go. Babe Herman Field, this is another restroom renovation project, Measure A funded. We set aside $300,000 in Measure A. This will do a complete rehabilitation of the existing restroom building and improve Title 24 ADA accessibility standards. Right now we are currently preparing documents to procure a design consultant to have somebody on board start looking at designing. We have met with individuals from our building and safety. They've identified what some of the ADA issues and challenges might be. So based on their feedback, we're developing the scope to move forward. Here is a look of what the current restroom looks like at Babe Herman. And another project that is currently in the early stages is Glorietta Tennis Concession building renovation. If you're familiar with Glorietta Park, just south of the 4 tennis courts, there's a very small structure that is used as the tennis office and has a small restroom for use by the clients that reserve the tennis courts. At the request of the community and user groups of this area, we approached council. Council approved $75,000 in Measure S funds to start the conceptual and the construction drawings, the design phase of this. We are currently talking with a consultant. We have proposals. We're looking at converting those proposals into a professional services agreement, a PSA, so move forward with the design. And we had met again with the tennis concessionaire on site to determine what the scope of work should be, and we're moving forward based on feedback we received. This is what it looks like currently, and the goal is to expand this structure to come all the way forward to where these seats are and incorporate that as part of the building itself, allowing room for a small office, a renovated restroom, ADA accessible for the users, as well as a little waiting and seating area as parents bring their kids to take tennis lessons. There'll be more like a small office area for them to be able to sit and wait for their children to complete their classes. Commission Week asked about this project, the Verdugo Park North renovation. This will replace the existing outdated playground with the meditation maze as approved by this commission last month. It will also replace the existing restroom building with a new restroom building and a small community room combo. But it will take the exact footprint as it is now, incorporating the little patio area, outdoor patio area into the mix. It'll have new accessible parking, code required, adjacent to the path, and a path to travel adjacent to the area. And also will replace the community garden with smaller, more raised plots. As Commission already knows, we did complete the community garden project in-house. Our crews, not only did they do all the excavation, the demo, removal, the grading, they also literally built those community garden boxes that are all laid out. We put in the DG, we have the shed structures moved in, the fencing job was completed recently. We have the picnic tables in place. We're looking at putting shade structure, and we're determining how best to do that on the 2 picnic tables that we put in for the community gardeners. And once that is done, we'll be taking both this community garden as well as Maryland. And given now we're more comfortable maybe hosting some meetings with the community, and we'll start the process of assigning the community garden plots based on this commission's approved process a few months back. The budget for this project is 3.8 million in CIP and development impact fee funds. As I mentioned, the community garden renovation is completed, and the design changes to the playground area, to pass the meditation maze. We are meeting with our consultant, I believe this week, could be tomorrow. My schedule, I forget. Could be this week to look at what they have finalized, the construction drawings, to take that to the next phase and start the process of getting council approval and bidding for that project to move it forward. And this was the conceptual design for the meditation maze we shared with Council Commission last month. And that is the end of this presentation. If commissioners have any questions, I would be glad to answer them for you.
Mr. Panosa, you're using different measures, S and A. What kind of funds are those that are you using them for the improvement?
Yes, that's a very good question, President Alfayan. Some members of the committee watching may not know the differences. So the Measure A was a county measure that was put on the ballot several years back. It was for a park improvements, park development. So it is developed so people pay through their property taxes towards Measure A, and Measure A makes available funds through the county to the city of Glendale and other agencies as well, that we have some per capita funds we could use for improvements of our park facilities within the park. And that is the Measure A funding process. The Measure S was very specific to the city of Glendale. If you recall, it could have been a couple of years back when there was a measure, the Measure S was on the ballot, and for the city of Glendale, that increased the taxes in Glendale by 0.75% to make it 1025. And the funds from that was used by council dedicated to a number of improvements within the city, whether it was housing improvements, quality of life improvements, and we have been requesting and starting to get funding for some of our park projects through that Measure S fund as well. I don't know if that answered the question. If I can clarify further, please let me know.
Is the city council considering to give some consideration from Measure S for new parks projects?
Yes, President Kalfayan, I can touch on that and defer to Mr. Bolonikian to answer as well. I do believe this past year, council allocated some monies from Measure S for purchasing of additional park space in South Glendale for the construction development of new parks, as well as some of our DIF funds that we've dedicated towards it. That is council's goal, as well as been this commissioner's goal, and of course the staff's goal as well, to develop more parks and enhance existing parks space-wise in South Glendale. So yes, council is looking at that very highly. It is a high priority for them as well as this commission, and funding from Measure S was dedicated for that purpose this past budget cycle.
Okay, thank you for extensive presentation.
President Kalfa and members of the commission, council has allocated a total of $2 million in Measure S funds for a park in South Glendale, a new park. So that's why we're actively looking for properties that we can purchase jointly with either community development and see where we can build a park, at least an acre and a half down in South Glendale. But we do have currently $2 million, and then a few $1 million in our DIF fund balance.
So we have we're dedicating $4 million for a new park at this time.
2 million. We only have 2 million. Yes. But in Measure S funds.
How about the funds that we have?
And we have close to 6 million in DIF, in our DIF fund balance. Out of that 6 million, we have verbally committed, I believe, 1 million in DIF funds for the Central Park project.
Okay, thank you. I know Commissioner Wilkerson has visited most of the parks that you will be improving. Please go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I had a couple of things. One, as long as we brought up the issue of the South Glendale, I'm hoping that table in terms of possibly becoming a park. in South Glendale. And so just want to in there. And then going back to the report, I was wondering, we had asked previously about the turf in Nibley Park looking a little sad. It's hard on the families that come there and picnic and so on. And when I asked about it a couple of years ago, we said, oh, we're going to wait till we renovate the restrooms. Well, now the renovation of the restrooms is completed. So I'm hoping that we will be refreshing.
Commissioner Wolfson, we are not able to hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. There's a lot of noise here today. I've
Okay, you're coming in now.
I have gardeners on one side and construction on the other. I'm doing my very best. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Commissioner Wolfson, I hear you. And
yes, I can hear you.
do recall our conversations. I understand what you raised, so I'm able to answer. And yes,
okay.
We did talk about the turf renovation that accesses the park in that area. And after the restroom construction was completed, if you recall, we did see that area. Now, I haven't visited it to know what its current conditions are, but we did reseed the area to allow for some turf generation. And if those conditions are not yet quite what you expected, I'll ask the guys to take a look at it again.
I just wanted to make sure that we had taken the action, since that's what we were waiting to take the action was for the renovation. Oh God, there's nowhere to run and hide here today. Okay, the second, I had some other questions and comments. I wanted to talk about the artificial turf. I want to make sure that, because the presentation was very suggestive that you're going ahead with the artificial turf, blah, 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 blah. And I just want to make sure that we're going to wait for this report in all seriousness, and that we're not taking action ahead of proper steps being taken to vet it. In all three locations, I believe Fremont is one of them, Pacific, and the sports complex. Then with respect to the Scholl Canyon, the non-native tree removals, I believe you said non-native, right?
Correct.
Yes, okay. And so replacing with, hopefully, I'm hoping maybe we can replace with natives. I know you said not maybe at the exact same location. And I was thinking as you were making your presentation that that's, okay, we do have a lot of trees in some of these locations, but where there's a poverty of trees, typically is in the more denser populated areas. And I wanted to just put a little plug in for maybe looking at our urban forestry down in South Glendale and in some of the more, the areas where they don't have as many trees, because that's a social justice issue that's kind of dear to my heart. And I'd like to, maybe we can take some steps, at least in Glendale, to remediate some of that. And final comment is just thank you so much for the water recycling that you're trying to do at Pacific Park for the water play feature. I think that's great. And the more we can do of things like that, the better off we'll all be. So those are my only comments. I'm sorry that there's so much commotion here. Somehow these gardeners next door always come right when it's time for our commission meeting.
So, President Kalfayan, Commissioner Wolfson, I did jot down notes on the concerns you raised. So as far as Nibley goes, yes, we did see the areas that were deteriorated from whether it be construction or general, like, heavy use. I do recall mentioning that in this commission some time back after it was done. And we'll just have them keep looking at the conditions, because with the activity, turf can, turf dies with a lot of activity. So we'll just have them keep looking at that. The concern about the artificial turf projects we highlighted, the reason why we titled them in the presentation and presented them as artificial turf, because as of at this point, that is how council has approved and budgeted those projects. But as we had said, council has also directed us to bring back the LCA study, the life cycle analysis. And once the life cycle analysis is done, council will give us direction on what to do with all of those projects. And as we've stated, and it's still the case, that the analysis completed will come to this commission first. It will go to the Sustainability Commission for their feedback, and then incorporating both commissions' feedbacks, we will take that report to council for final determination. With all due respect, council will make the final determination on that. They are the governing body, and whatever that determination is at that point, we will take the direction and proceed with whatever that direction might be on those projects. So even though we're proceeding with completing the designs and having it ready, in most cases they're permit ready, we're not taking the next step of bidding it at this point. The Fremont is the only exception, and only because Fremont's bidding process it's a large project. The bidding process can be 6 to 8 months. By that time, we'll have the ability to find out what to do and change the direction as we finalize the contracts for that. And if worst case scenario, do a change order. So either way, the artificial turf concept will not move forward until we get the direction from council after the analysis is done. As far as the trees that show, yeah, we can always look at indigenous trees. We'll work with forestry to determine what is best. And as you enter, if you're familiar with it, on the left-hand side, there's some open space. We do have the ability to add trees there. At the parking sites we're removing, they're condensed. For any tree to survive there, it needs a little more space. They're gonna have to compete for water and sun, and it's not like they're gonna do well. So our friends in forestry have identified this approach to be best. And I will let them know as far as South Glendale goes and the tree canopies. I believe it is on their radar. They've gone to the council a couple of times in addressing the need, and council has funded for additional trees and improvements. So urban forestry is working on additional trees throughout, whether it be parks and whether it be with the streets. They do have a plan in place for the upcoming years to enhance the urban forest in Glendale. And I think those are the items you highlighted. So
thank you very much for those answers. I appreciate it. I'm sorry if I seem, it's just like I'm having to run away from this. If they're not at my house, it feels like they're right in my house blowing. Anyhow.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have some. My first comment is, wow, you have a lot of things going on. You know how to juggle. But I do have on the Cerritos and Wilson parks, those will be open to the public, I believe, is the way you were stating it, not just for the schools. I cannot hear you.
I may have been muted. Okay, Commissioner Meek. The intent for those two sites is to, after we construct, to have it open to the public after 4 p.m. until closing 10 p.m., let's say, of the park. And on Saturdays and Sundays, keep it open for the community to use, and dedicated that time slot for Parks Department to schedule the youth, the leagues or whatnot to be able to use those sites. So absolutely. We will be funding the projects, working with Glendale Unified, and those facilities will be open to the public for their use after hours, after school hours.
So, another on the Scholl surfacing the parking area, will that be permeable?
That is a good question. We have to look at that, see what the cost would be, because initially when we approached it, we were looking at just designing it, and I'll bring that up with engineering to see if that cost changes. It's likely to change because it is a little more expensive, but I think that's a note that we'll take and ask them to incorporate into their design. The reason why we did Dunsmore is such because it's such a vast space that it just seemed to be a better option going forward. I will write that down and see how it incorporates within our budget and see if that's feasible as well. That's a very good point.
Okay. On the Central Park Master Plan, will the south entrance of the library be closed? I couldn't really tell on the map.
Commissioner Meek, no. As the current plan is designed, both sides of the library will still have their access. North side and south side will have the access. South side leads onto the little plaza area, the open turf area where, you can hold concerts and activities and events. And the north end will be just, the normal entrance from Harvard. So currently there is no intent to close either entrance to the library.
Okay. Also on the master plan in the, I guess the east side where there's a playground and then there's the open space, the green open space. Mm-hmm. Is there any thought about putting any sort of art there?
I don't have the detailed design at the moment, but there is with some art components incorporated into the mix. There's I could find and share with you, Commissioner Meek, the more detailed concept for the design when it was developed, the master design. It does have all the segments have little renderings of what the intent is, and there's a lot of artwork in the mix. Yes. And
Okay,
this one,
great.
I only used one screenshot to avoid, 100 different pictures to share. But we do have that, and we can share it with the entire commission if Mr. Bolian thinks it's best. The concept, master concept that was adopted by council. And you can also find those through the council meetings that were presented to finalize and adopt the master plan. The links for all of that is there as well. But we'll make it easier and get that over to you. Hopefully, it'll be a small enough file so we can share and you can see more of the details of what the design concepts will be.
Thank you. My last thing is, since we're doing these things that will benefit the schools, could we get the schools, school district to open up their high school tennis courts to the public use when school is not in session?
Commissioner Meek, that's a very good question. We have been working with the district at the Glendale High School tennis courts. We're looking at what's the best approach to allow for public use at those tennis courts. And once we determine how best that's going to go, we will let this commission know. But that has been in the works with the district, and we've had numerous conversations over the years, and we're considering what is best. If we open it up, do we bring in a concessionaire, for example, to run it and turn the responsibility over to them? Do we do it by permit, just permit it to the city to use? So we're looking at all options, see what's going to be the best approach to make that available for public use after school hours.
Thank you. That's all my questions.
Mr. Panos, I had a couple of questions for you regarding some of the work that's proposed to be done at Fremont Park, since it's such a large scale project. Where is the beach volleyball court that is currently situated over there?
Let me see if I can open that up and show that page again.
Because I mean, based on I looked at it, I couldn't find it. I've kind of grew up playing basketball over there, so I'm very familiar with that park. And I think that by getting rid of that area behind the current tennis courts right now, I think it's great, because I remember growing up, there was a lot of bad stuff that kids would do behind that area. So having it be, first of all, it adds parking space, but aside from that, I think for safety purposes, it's a lot better. I'm just the volleyball court, and then the second question is why the tennis courts were moved like all the way to, I guess, the northeast side, on the corner of Kenilworth and Hahn, instead of where, for example, the current basketball court is situated, keeping the basketball courts over there.
Great. Commissioner Southerby, those are great questions. Are you able to see my screen? I believe I'm sharing it right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at the one that you guys had emailed us to, but yeah, it's the same thing, so I could see it clearly.
To try and answer the question, first was about the sand volleyball court area. Is where are you able to see my cursor moving?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly where the current one is.
Location, and we've contemplated how best to address some of the issues and challenges we faced, and the lack of activity. There's one group that came in infrequently on Saturdays, so we felt this area was more. It'd be more feasible to change the use of this location. And given the fact that we wanted the Hahn Street to go through all the way across the back, open this area, which, as you mentioned, the tennis courts currently would be right about here. And they created for some activity, unwanted activity at a park. It's hidden away from public view, and we wanted to avoid that. So we took a lot of our current issues and challenges in our mindset when we're designing this. Hence, we determined if we incorporate the existing sand volleyball, the existing half basketball court is in this area. We needed to move the tennis courts to allow for this, the feasible road approach that when you got vehicles moving, it's open, the activity will reduce, the unwanted activity will reduce, and allow for additional parking. And that's the reason why we found this to be the best location to move the tennis courts to. Now, two of these tennis courts right over here, they're actually sunk in tennis courts. And I know this question had come up, not from this commission, for the community watching, that the 4 tennis courts will remain. The ones the far left are going to stay as they are. The 4 that are moving, 2 of them will be kind of dropped lower to allow for competitive tennis. So if somebody wants to hold a tournament, these will be sunken with some benches on the perimeter seating area so that they can have actual competitive tennis competition at this location. And it's also adjacent to the community building that has the patio area. It allows for a lot more, activity. That was the thinking. And the layouts, the current soccer field layout, the reason why it's there is that's where currently you get groups going on Saturday mornings and play anyway. They made an unofficial, quote unquote soccer field. And we, as well as the community that designed this, thought that was its best location. And with the maneuvering of the new playground, the water play feature, just this layout seemed to fit perfectly in everybody's needs that we wanted to address to accommodate. So that's the reason for this final layout.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense as far as the volleyball court, especially if they're not being used. I mean, I guess from my just vision of it, I think if all the tennis courts were more or less situated together, and I know, again, growing up having played basketball, I remember there was time and time again where there's a group of younger people playing basketball. The tennis, I would say older people playing tennis would constantly complain about the noise from basketball because tennis is a much more quieter and, I guess, professional sport. So having the basketball court situated like still very close to the tennis courts on the, I guess, northwest side is, to me personally, a little bit of a concern, but I'm sure you guys have done your due diligence in trying to make the space work efficiently.
Yeah, Commissioner Sarbegian, one of the key reasons why the layout was as you see it at the moment is the soccer field. To put the soccer field any other location would require a significant removal of some indigenous trees. This location is open. And the fact that we wanted to at least get in a U12 soccer field at this site, this made most sense. Now, once we laid out where the soccer field is supposed to go, then the rest of the puzzle had to fit in place.
That makes sense.
We still wanted to have the tennis courts. We needed the community building with the tennis concession office and the office for us, the restroom buildings. We needed to have, pathways, playground, the water play feature, which we added to the mix. It all kind of based off where's the best location for the soccer field. And the reason why the soccer field has been the focus, if you recall my last presentation about the whole turf issue, the demand for soccer field is the reason why we are here. And this is one of the best identified locations for an actual soccer field, Fremont Park. And again, this was by way of having charrettes at the facility, at the park, number of meetings with the community. Literally, the community came out and designed this park for us. And we, obviously tweaked a little bit to make everything fit. But this design with the community's input, we felt, and I still believe is the best design for this facility. It will address all of the needs for the community. It will address the groups that came in and wanted certain elements added to the mix. This was the final design. And I hope that answers the reason why the layout is this way.
And that makes sense. That totally. And then I'm assuming the rose garden, that one is being replaced by the actual playground for the kids.
That is another good question. We've had questions about the rose garden. The rose garden will be relocated. Currently, the rose garden is where the water play feature and partially some of the playground area is. And it will be a shrunken, smaller segment rose garden somewhere within this vicinity, I believe. But it will be moved and it will make room for the water play feature and the playground. That is correct.
Okay. And then is there any actual work being done to the south east parking structure?
This location right here?
Yeah, is it just more or less staying as is?
Yeah, this location will stay as is, maybe some slight improvements, but the design as you see it now is likely what it's going to be. We might enhance some of the landscape there and just clean it up to make it look more presentable. But as far as the facility improvements, this site is not going to have the level of improvements the main park is going to have.
Makes sense. And last question for you: are there any stands by the soccer field? Any sitting area, any covered area, anything like that, or no?
You caught me one of those. This has been 5 years since we designed it. I'm not 100% certain, but I do believe there may be some benches outside of the west side of the soccer field. Mm-hmm. In conversations, I do know we've left some room for people to bring in the benches or their own seats to kind of be on the outside of the turf, the field, and be able to actually watch it.
Makes sense.
We'll look into more detail on that question, and I'll put a note to answer that next month's commission meeting, or by email to communicate back to the commission if that seems to be feasible, whether there's seating. But as far as stadium-style seating that we have at the tennis courts we discussed earlier, it does not. It's not a stadium-style seating. It may be some benches for people to sit. I'll confirm that as I dig deeper.
Thank you.
You're on mute.
Okay, Iris?
Next item is 7B, Workforce Development Section Activity Report.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, President Kafayan, members of Commission. My name is Judith Velasco, and I'm here to present the Workforce Section Report. Usually when we come to Commission, we highlight a couple of our workforce funded projects, but if it's okay, I just want to give a brief overview of our section, as a way of introduction. So our section, which is part of Community Services and Parks Department, is 100% grant funded. And the sole purpose really is to provide free, no-cost services to the public as it relates to employment. So we provide employment and training assistance for individuals who are unemployed, looking for a career change, looking to upgrade their skills. We also provide a service to the business community when they're looking to fill their job openings, but also we assist them when they are having layoffs. Our section is primarily funded through federal funds, part of the Department of Labor's Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOA for short. We also receive local funds from Los Angeles County. We receive state funds from the Department of Education. All the funding we receive is related to employment, developing career pathways, developing partnerships with our local community college, Glendale Community College, as well as businesses, really to provide a diverse opportunity for communities to access our services that are looking for employment goals. Over the years, we've worked primarily with individuals that have different skill sets. And what I mean by that is that our board has been recognized for working with individuals with disability, looking to enter the workforce, individuals who are homeless, as well as low income, English language learners. So as I present our report to you, this is just a little snapshot of a couple of activities we've done in the last quarter. At any given time, we administer over 20 competitive grants. And each of these grants are multi-year grants with different start and end dates, with the overall goal of really helping individuals connect to employment opportunities. One of the items I've highlighted in my report to you is the City of Glendale's Tech Job Fair. Traditionally, before the pandemic, we had on-site job fairs where we invite hundreds of employers to meet prospective candidates for their openings. But due to the pandemic, we are doing things a little differently. This year, we partnered with the City of Glendale's Tech Week, which occurred the week of September 21st, and we had a virtual job fair. It was a little bit different. We had 7 employers, not our traditional hundreds of employers. And each of the employers had an opportunity to interview and provide an overview of their companies to about 87 to 90, what we call job seekers, individuals looking for work. So we had such a positive response for our virtual job fair. We had about over 200 people confirm their attendance, and the employers actually reached out to us and they want to do more virtual job fairs because it's easier for them to participate versus coming to a physical location. So that's just one example of job fairs we have done. We will continue to schedule them throughout the year. I also wanted to highlight in our report that the workforce section, we're actually part of a workforce system. So there are workforce centers all over the state of California. And these centers are categorized by boards. We are called the Vertigo Board. We are a board comprised of the cities of Glendale, Burbank, and La Cañada, Flint Ridge. It's a Vertigo consortium. And there are 46 boards in the state of California. So one thing I highlighted is that we were recently ranked number 7 of 46 of providing services to populations such as homeless, such as people with disability. And this means that we've enrolled, placed in our programs, a diverse group of individuals looking for work. So our enrollment numbers exceeded that of bigger cities and counties with bigger populations, twice our size. So I wanted to highlight that to show the commission our commitment to serving anybody interested in looking for work and looking for opportunities, again, at no cost. Under our section is the Glendale Youth Alliance. They are a youth provider. They mostly focus on employment services related to youth ages 14 to about 24. Most recently, they received additional housing grants. During this time pandemic, rental assistance is a great need. So through different housing grants, such as the Life Wrap program, as well as the California Emergency Relief Aid program, they're also assisting families in the area who have a need for rental assistance. And I would say overall, in the last year, our section has received a little bit over $1.2 million to assist individuals directly impacted by COVID in terms of rental assistance, utility assistance. We call this supportive services assistance. That's the term we use, the umbrella. So moving forward, we continue to see individuals have different challenges, employment challenges. We saw the end of the pandemic unemployment assistance. So we saw the loss of people no longer being able to receive unemployment insurance because before, if they were gig or contract employees, they were able to qualify for federal unemployment. Now they don't. So we're trying to see what we can do as a system to apply for additional funding to support anybody impacted by COVID still. And we also see challenges from the employer side, challenges of workforce shortages, which I'm sure you've heard about in different areas, registered nurses. Now that schools were fully opened in August, bus drivers, childcare, early childhood education teachers, biotechnicians, just to name a few. So as we see these challenges, part of our job as a system is developing career pathways to enable individual an entry path to secure employment in these areas. So matching individuals and their interests to these opportunities. Additionally, we monitor economic labor market information to see what areas are growing, and we share this data as well. So I just wanted to share it with you and highlight a couple of things that our section is doing, but I'm also happy to answer any specific questions you may have on the report or about our section in general.
Okay, thank you. We start with you, Commissioner Wilferson.
I don't have any questions. I just want to say thank you for what you do.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Sardabakian.
No, thank you. I think it's great to hear, some of the positive work. I think I actually always get questioned why, when it comes to the city of Glendale, why it's always bright and people are happier here. And for the most part, I mean, our homeless population compared to other cities is a lot less. People are always, for the most part, employed, and I think there's a lot of work that's done that most people don't know about. So good job. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner.
And Commissioner Mick.
I also thank you, along with everybody else. I've used the Glendale Youth Alliance numerous times to help me out on my own property. And I'm really glad that Glendale does that. I think it really helps young people to start understanding finance and taking care of themselves, earning their own money, etc. And it's expanded greatly. And we appreciate all that you're doing. Thank you.
I have a few questions for you, Ms. Do we train them, educate them as they come in? Do we have that system?
Overall, yes. So what we do initially, President Kalfayan, is that we do an assessment. And what basically someone coming into our center, we try to assess what their need is. We try to see what they currently have done in the past in terms of their career, and to see what skills upgrade opportunity there are. We work with over a dozen schools that provide a variety of training. A lot of folks really are not interested in training because it's a time commitment. They have to be in class Monday through Friday for 3 hours or 4 hours a day. Some individuals, they come seeking our services for job leads and job opportunities. So we have a job distribution list that we subscribe them to. So depending on what their need is, depending on what their skill sets are, we try to match them with the different opportunities we have. So if we identify that they would benefit from skills upgrade training, we set up that training structure for them, and it's to no cost to that individual. Our federal grants cover the cost of training.
And those are residents of Glendale only, or we serve anyone?
Our priority are residents of Glendale, residents of our Verdugo Consortium, but we serve everybody. And that's the reason that we always are applying for grant funds. We do not want to turn individuals away. If we have the funding to support the service that they're asking for, we will pay for them. We understand how difficult it is for someone to ask for help. So if someone comes to us from a neighboring city, we're not going to send them away to another area if we have the funding to support. But we do prioritize funding for our residents.
Thank you for your report. If there is no other questions, next item, please.
Item 7B, Recreation and Community Services Section Monthly Activity Report for October 2021.
Good afternoon, President Kofa and members of the Commission. My name is Saba Garabidian, Senior Community Services Supervisor with the Community Services and Parks Department. I'll be going over the Recreation and Community Services Section Monthly Activity Report for the last month since our last Commission meeting. And you guys could see my screen already, so let's move on. So what's open and closed? Since our last Commission meeting in September, no new changes have been made. All the protocols with regards to youth sports are still the same. Our senior congregate meals program is still following a remote model, frozen meals or in-person pickup, but no dine-in on site. Pretty soon for the month of October and parts of November, we'll be continuing the senior exercise classes virtually, and we're hoping to adopt a hybrid model towards the end of November. So that'll be a new change coming up in the next couple of weeks. Along with our senior mixer, we've reached out to our participants in the senior mixer. We'll be accommodating them at a different facility starting in December. Those are the two programs left that we haven't brought back in one way, shape, or form. Moving on, we had Parents' Night Out during the month of September. One Parents' Night Out took place on September 10th at Pacific Community Center. You can see pictures from that one here. We had 21 participants in total. Then we had a second Parents' Night Out event at Spar Heights Community Center. Parents' Night Out is an opportunity for parents to drop off their kids as early as 6 p.m. and we'll take care of the kids, feed them, and provide entertainment until midnight when the parents are supposed to come back and pick them up. While the kids are with us, the parents could do whatever it is that they want to do, whether it's go out, enjoy a movie, or take care of some errands at home. But it's a great opportunity, and clearly from our participation, there's a lot of parents interested in these two offerings. Our One Glendale After School Youth Sports Program is back in a pivoted, adjusted model. So One Glendale After School Youth Sports Program caters to 4th and 5th graders at 8 South Glendale schools. With the county health order back in place for youth sports, we had to pivot and adjust the sports that we're doing for One Glendale. Typically it's team events, and we would have been in flag football. We've changed everything to a recreation-based physical education program where the kids remain on campus, maintain distancing as best as possible, and do physical activity. We're still doing the pre and post program BMI measures and the health and nutrition component, but we are not transporting them weekly to various sites to actually play games against other schools. Right now, One Glendale has 157 participants in the program out of a possible 240 participants. And those 8 South Glendale schools are Horace Mann, Columbus, R.D. White, Muir, Cerritos, Edison, Jefferson, and Marshall. As part of the One Glendale program, we also offer nature education component. On September 25, we had our Glendale Outdoors Nature Education Program for our One Glendale participants take place at Duke-Majan Wilderness Park. We had over 25 participants in attendance from our One Glendale program. The GO program basically brings all of the One Glendale kids to an area in South Glendale, in this case Pacific Community Center, where we transport them via bus to one of our GO program sites, whether it's Duke-Majan Wilderness Park, Brand Park, or the sports complex. While there, they'll do some nature education, some hikes, learn about the local plants and animals and wildlife, and come back and do a crafts, eat some snacks, and then come back to their homes. On September 11, we had 9 volunteers join us for the Riverwalk Workday. And then on September 18, we had 16 volunteers join us for the Wilderness Workday. During workdays, they water trees, remove invasive weeds, and basically do the best they can in terms of light trail maintenance. Our Youth and Family Services STAR program continues to meet every week at Pacific Community Center. During the month of September, dinner was provided during each of the meetings and an educational workshop. STAR students learn about healthy methods to release their emotions, thoughts, and concerns about returning to in-person school, which was presented by GUSD, how to identify and address unhealthy relationships with family members, friends, and alike, and self-care through physical and spiritual exercises. Youth and Family Services section also organizes our Team Night Out programs and Team Night Out workshops. On September 3, Team Night Out resumed for the first time in person at Pacific Community Center. And on September 10, Team Night Out was held for the first time at Maple Park Community Center. In returning to in-person, basically, we started offering Team Night Out every other week at each facility. So and we alternate between facilities. One week it'll be at Pacific, the next week it'll be at Maple Park, but our programming and activities are geared and are the same at both facilities whenever they do take place. Also in September, we brought back Maple All-Inclusive Play Day at Maple Park Community Center. Maple All-Inclusive Play Day took place on September 18 from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. The program creates an opportunity for children of all abilities to come together and in the universal language of play, get to know each other, and basically break down barriers when they interact with one another. The Community Services and Parks Department also puts out a marketing booth and creates some crafts for the kids to participate in, but the main theme for the Inclusive Play Day is our Shane's Inspiration All-Inclusive Playground. And that concludes my presentation, nice and short. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Any of the commissioners have a question? The senior program, we're delivering only, right? We're not allowed to bring them in.
President Kafa and members of the commission, with regards to our senior programs, for the meals program, we are doing home delivery in the form of frozen meals, or we're doing in-person pickups Monday through Friday at Spar Heights Community Center, and Tuesdays and Thursdays at Pacific Community Center for a hot meal, 5 days a week at both locations, I'm sorry, for the meals. But they are not allowed to eat those meals inside. However, inside the facility, seniors are able to participate in some of the programming that we do have available, whether it's the billiards room or the exercise room, backgammon, dominoes, chess, bridge, whatever the case may be. So programming inside the facilities are happening and are occurring, but in terms of the meals, they have to do pickup and then eat elsewhere or outside.
The number of meals are the same as we used to have them dine in, or it has lowered?
No, President Kaufman, members of the commission, the number of meals that we've been serving on a daily basis has increased significantly. We're serving over, I want to say 1,200 meals a week, about 12,000 meals roughly a month. If I'm not mistaken, I'm looking at Teresa and Onig are nodding their heads. Yes, so it has increased significantly. We were going from 180 meals a day to the numbers that I'm expressing today.
We have the budget for the increase.
President Kalfayan, we are slowly transitioning from delivery to pickup for those seniors that have the ability to pick up in person as we gear down the home delivered meals and try to go back to when we were doing home delivered meals only for seniors who were homebound and don't have the ability to come in person. For this year, so far, we don't have the budget at the same levels that we did last year. Last year, we got a lot more money due to COVID. So we were able to increase our meals to be able to meet the increased capacity and the need. But this year, we are expecting more money. We just haven't exactly received that information from the county as they are working on the numbers as far as how much money was returned from various agencies, and they'll redistribute some of those funds. So we don't have a final budget for this year, but in order to make sure that we could meet our numbers, we are trying to move away from the home delivered meals and come back to either in-person pickup if they have no other means of eating at home, or and also slowly to prepare for the seniors to be able to come back in person as we wait for LA County to provide us that information. So as far as budget, our budget this year compared to last year would not be able to sustain the same level of numbers, but we are expecting more money if the county is to remain closed as far as in-person dining. So we won't have exact numbers until probably later on in the year, but for now, we're able to sustain the numbers that we're serving.
Thank you. Thank you. If we don't have any questions, next item, please, Iris.
Sure. Item 7D, Park Services Section Monthly Activity Report for August 2021.
So, good afternoon again, President Kalfayan, members of the Commission. You do have the written report. We do not have a presentation report today. And for the month of August, our crews completed 914 work orders, of which 875 were completed by groundskeepers, 3 pesticide applications, and 36 work orders for the irrigation crew, for total labor hours of 1,406 labor hours. And the attachments for all the details of these are included in the packet. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them for you. And in the next month, depending on how the schedule will be, we will likely look at presenting some of the projects to Commission, so you get more of a visual picture of what some of the small scale projects that we do in-house incorporated. So that is all at the moment. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer for you.
Any questions? We have 10 minutes if you have questions.
I just want to, I know we have a time limit. No, I just want to say, thank you for all the work that you guys do. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. This meeting is adjourned. Our next meeting will be November 15, 2021, via teleconference only. Thank you for all the presentations.
Thank you.